All right, today we're going to break down a business strategy that you've definitely seen in action, even if you didn't have a name for it. And it all kicks off with a question I think we've all asked ourselves at some point.
Right? You see that shiny new phone or that next-gen gaming console announced, you look at the price tag and you think, whoa, okay, that is steep. I think I'm going to wait a few months. Well, that thought process you go through, it's not an accident. It's actually part of a very clever plan.
And really, there is no better, no more classic example of this than one of the biggest product launches that happens every single year. You know what I'm talking about, the iPhone.
Yeah, we see this cycle play out time and time again. You could call it the new iPhone effect. And honestly, it's the perfect way to understand this powerful pricing strategy we're diving into today.
You know the drill, right? The hype is absolutely massive. You see pictures of people lining up, sometimes for days, and that launch price, it's always a premium. There's this huge rush, this desire to be the first one to have it. But then, just like clockwork, a few months go by, and that sky-high price starts to come back down to earth.
Now, this whole thing isn't just random. It's not just a simple case of supply and demand. No, this is a very deliberate, very calculated strategy that has an aim.
And that strategy is called price skimming. So what in the world is it, really? And how does it actually work?
So here's the textbook definition. At its core, price skimming is exactly what it sounds like. A company launches something new, sets the price really high, and then, over time, they start to walk that price down, step by step. It's a strategic way to get the most money possible out of the market.
And the name itself is actually the perfect metaphor. The whole idea is to skim the different layers of customers, kind of like skimming the cream off the top of milk. It's a really helpful way to picture what's going on here.
So how do you actually skim these layers of the market? Well, it all comes down to understanding that your customers are not all the same. They have different priorities, and you can target them in waves.
It's a pretty clear process. You start with that high price to capture the first group. We call them the early adopters. These are the die-hard fans, the tech enthusiasts who just have to have the latest and greatest right now. Once you've sold to them, you start to lower the price. And that opens the door for the next group of people, the ones who were interested but were a little more sensitive to that initial high cost.
And this really shows you the two big groups we're talking about. On one hand, you've got the early adopters. For them, it's all about the new features, the status, the novelty. They're more than willing to pay extra for it. But on the other side, you've got the more budget-conscious folks. They're looking for value, and they are perfectly happy to wait for the price to drop into their comfort zone. Price skimming is the strategy that lets a company sell to both of these groups effectively.
Okay, so that's the how, but why do companies do this? What's the payoff? Well, when you get this right, the payoff is absolutely massive. This is way more than just making a profit. It's about being smart and maximizing it at every single stage.
So what are those big wins? Well, first, you maximize your profits by getting each group to pay the highest price they're willing to. That big initial price tag also helps you get back all the money you spent on research and development, like right away. Plus, it builds a premium brand image. Starting high makes something feel exclusive. And then, as the price drops, you strategically open it up to more and more people, growing your overall market share. It really works on multiple levels.
But, and this is a big but, you can't just use this strategy for anything. It's not some magic bullet that works on every product. The market conditions have to be just right.
Seriously, if you try to price skim a product that has a ton of competition or isn't really unique, it's going to fall flat on its face. This is a specialized tool, and you have to know when to use it. So what are those perfect conditions? Well, just think about the iPhone again. You need huge initial demand. You need incredibly strong brand loyalty. I mean, Apple fans are the textbook example. The product itself has to have something unique that makes people say, yeah, okay, I can see why it costs that much. And most importantly, your market has to have those different layers of buyers, the ones who will pay anything and the ones who will wait for a deal.
And that's exactly why this strategy is so common in certain industries. Tech gadgets are all about novelty and new features. A really innovative kitchen appliance can command a high price because it does something nothing else can. And it's a huge deal in pharmaceuticals, where companies have to make back billions in R&D, usually when the drug is still protected by a patent. So, if you're going to take one thing away, it should be this. Price skimming isn't just about starting high. It's about turning a single product launch into this dynamic, multi-stage profit engine that helps you manage your brand and strategically grow your customer base over time.
So there you have it. And now that you know the playbook, you're going to start seeing this everywhere. Seriously, from video game consoles to new car models, what other products come to mind? Once you see it, you can't unsee it.